Welcome to you all for another Hoops and Dreams preview episode. It's with me, Brian, and with George. So, welcome back again, George.
Thank you as always, Brian. I can't wait to dig into what was such a great Cardiff game with you and previewing Oxford, so can't wait.
Yeah, so he's right. We're gonna be previewing Wednesday's away fixture at Oxford, as well as discussing a club-related topic as well. First, though, yeah, we do have to start with that R's match against Cardiff at the Loftus Road. The match ended in a nil-nil boring draw, which left QPR sitting 16th on 46 points. Marty Cifuentes described this fixture as the most important game since I've been here. That was before the match. You were there too, George. Did you feel like it was that?
I think it was an important game, yes, because I think I saw people on social saying, "Oh, it's a must-win game. We have to win it." I saw it as more of a "you must not lose" situation. So I think at the end of the day, draw's not a bad result, but in terms of the game, it was extremely poor. When it like there was the quality, there was just none of it really. So a draw was a fair result, and it was probably the most nil-nil game you'll find this season. So yeah, just extremely poor, but. I guess you can take away a little positive is that we didn't lose the game and a draw's not a bad result. It keeps us 5 points away from relegation. Whereas if we lost, then it would have, yeah, that would have been very bad.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that. I said to everybody before, it's a question of must not lose rather than we must win. So I totally agree with you on that. I know a lot of people getting carried away yesterday near me on the terraces, but really, a draw is far better than losing. Um, so was it a fair result anyway, that draw, do you reckon, George?
Yeah, I think it was. I think neither team can really look at it and think they deserve to win the game because there just wasn't enough chances for that, I don't think. And both teams just didn't create enough. I think that Cardiff sat quite deep, especially in the first half, and we didn't really create anything off that. I think I couldn't believe it when I looked at the stats and saw that we had 4 shots on target in the game, and I just really struggled to remember the 4 shots. And then second half, they made the triple change at half time. We made the triple change at 55 minutes. It was almost both teams looking at it thinking, oh, something has to change, but nothing really did. There was no catalyst to the game. Neither fans really got up for it, and it was just, yeah, from our side, all right defensively, a good defensive performance. You could say you can't argue with a clean sheet, but there's just no attacking invention, and you can't really see anyone who looks like they're going to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's a really big issue, isn't it? So, as I said, the game was a must not lose, and it was a very boring nil-nil draw, and it was just neither team really deserved to win the game.
Yeah. Do you think that Marty probably had no choice? He probably picked the best team that he could from what was available. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think in terms of attacking wise, he put out the attackers who I thought he was going to. I didn't think he start Dembele in this game. And in terms of strikers, everyone knows my thoughts on that, and he had no choice really. I think that Lloyd's perhaps been rushed back a little because obviously he's now aggravated his groin again, something that stopped him from starting against Stoke. And it's almost like Marty's having to bring players back quicker than they should be. I think that was the same with Field yesterday as well. The fact that he could only manage 55 minutes, I think if a player is not fully fit, they shouldn't be anywhere near the squad, let alone starting. So I think he's having to rush a few players back, and his hands are really tied with a few things, especially going forward. But yeah, I think he started a team that I expected, and I don't think he could have really done too much differently.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, had we lost, that would have ratcheted up the pressure and the fear. As it happened in November, we now need to turn that draw, as we did in November, we need to turn that draw around and make it into from the losses into pluses and wins. And that's how we started in November. We started off with a few draws, then we managed to get those wins going, and it made all the difference. And I think that's where we've got to go. Man of the match for me was Ronnie Edwards, once again, who managed to perform his centre back duties very well, whilst at the same time managing to surge forward on a couple of occasions to really good effect. Was he your choice too, George?
Yeah, I think so. And I keep saying it, but it's so frustrating that he's not going to be our player next season. It's just we're developing for a Southampton team who probably will get relegated today, to be honest with you. So you look at it and you think, yeah, he'll be playing for them next season, and it'll be annoying to see. But I think Morrison played quite well as well, to be honest with you.
Yes.
And I don't any of the backline really did too bad. I think the stat is I think we've only conceded 3 goals with Morrison starting or something ridiculous like that. And I know it's only a short period of time that he's actually been playing. He's only had a few games running the team, but that really is positive. And bear in mind he's only 21 years old. Um, he's definitely one of the positives we can take into next season and potentially giving him maximum minutes in the next few games.
Yeah, good that you mentioned the back four because I thought all of the back four did well. And I've been criticising Parr for being off pace and everything before, but I thought he did really well. And also got to mention Anderson. Anderson surprised me at one of his better games. Okay, he went off in the end, but he was a lot better than we've seen him. So got to take something out of this, I suppose. Okay. At this point, I should mention some extra good news, and boy, do we really need this. On Monday, the 31st of March, our under 21s were playing in the quarterfinals of the PL Cup, and they were playing against West Brom. They eventually won this 3-2. It was a really tight affair. So they're through to the semi-finals. Well done to them. Did you get to see the match, George?
No, I didn't. I had a game on my own, sadly, on the Monday. So
Okay.
I would have watched it. But yeah, it's good for them, really good for the team. I think that we've been quite critical of the youth team over the last few years. And it's good to see that the development team are doing well. And it expresses my point of bringing in players who have been released at the age of 16 to 19 years old rather than developing them as our own. It looks like Emerson Sutton's impressing a lot. And obviously, he was on the bench against Cardiff. Obviously, didn't get to be brought on. And I think it's a good thing that he didn't because you don't want to knock a player's confidence like that, bringing him into such a tight game. And Dylan as well up front seems to be doing well. I know he's now gone out on loan to. I'm not too sure. I think it might be Enfield in step three of non-league for the rest of the season, but he impressed in that game as well. So it's looking really good for them, and it looks like they might have Chelsea in the next round as well, and that'll be a home game. So fingers crossed that might be moved to Loftus Road, and so you can get some fans there. So it should be good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, when I looked at them, they were playing the same possession-based football as the first team. And as it turned out, funnily enough, they were suffering the same problem as the first team encounters when the Baggies were adopting a high press. So they had to work their way around that. It meant lots of long balls and lots of head tennis. But the team went in half time a goal down. Whatever was said at half time, or the subs, as you mentioned, that came on, I don't know, but whatever it was, they were level soon after, and they just kept getting better and better. I mean, it really was an impressive performance, I thought, by them. The only thing I would mention about the West Brom is their number nine, Sully. Great turn of pace for such a big guy. He's a really strong-looking striker, very, very fast. It'd be nice to poach him if we could. Uh, anyway, as I say, on to the semi-finals for them. We wish them all the very, very best and hope they get on well with that. Um, I guess I guess we should mention at this point. Yeah, let's do the preview of Oxford against QPR. As I said, it's on Wednesday. It's at the Kassam Stadium. They're managed now by Gary Rowett, and they sit 18th on 45 points. So they are just two positions and 1 point below us. Tough fixture, or one we should really win, George?
I think it's a really tough game and for different reasons. I think if you're coming up against the likes of a Sheffield United, Leeds, or anyone really in that top half of the table, you're going to expect a team with quality, expect a team full of players who can hurt you individually. But I think Oxford, they're a team where on paper, and I'm not trying to offend them, and I said it in the other preview when we previewed the home game as well.
Mm.
Their players are League One quality, I think, and that's with the majority of them. They're like us really this season, where they had an awful start, but then they bought Rout in and seemed to do really well midway through the season. But they've dropped off again. They went for a spell of not winning in 9 games, although they've won their last two, even beating Sheffield United yesterday, which I think was really impressive. Um, it's going to be a really tough game. What to expect of them, I'm not really too sure. I don't think they're a ball playing team whatsoever. They've got the third lowest possession stats in the league.
I mean, in December, as you mentioned on that before, we beat them for 2-0 at Loftus Road. And that was when during the period when we were working our way out of the relegation zone. And on Saturday, as you say, they beat Sheffield United. No small feat. Fair credit to them for that. The last six matches have been a mix of draw, I think one draw, and then the rest have been losses or wins. We cannot show any wins in our last six matches, not one. So they're on the ascendancy, if anything, we're not. Oxford's top scorer is Mark Harris, but he's only got six goals so far this season, six championship goals anyway. And I think the next is Dembele on five. So I think it'd be fair to say that Oxford are struggling as much as QPR's squad is to score goals. Any Oxford players though that you feel we should look out for, George? Perhaps Volks?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I was gonna say Volts actually. I think he's one of them players where their quality doesn't really get recognised. He's a player who's done well in the Championship for various different clubs. I think Sheffield Wednesday, Cardiff, he did really well for. And I think he's been playing well for them this season as well. So he's definitely someone who can keep the midfield ticking. I think Brannigan's another one for them.
Hmm.
I know we were looking at him a lot when he was in League One with Oxford, much like other Championship clubs, but he stuck with them, eventually got into the Championship, and I think he's had a half decent season as well. And the other one I want to mention is Michael Hellick at the back. He's done really well for them this season. And when Huddersfield were in the Championship last year, I think he actually was one of their top goal scorers at the end of the year, scoring quite a few goals. So he's also a player who's done really well in the Championship and has done well for them this season. So as I said, they got a few players who could threaten us, but they're more of a team who are well structured. I think they're tough to beat, as you saw with Sheffield United. They beat them 1-0, and their last two wins have both been by one goal against Watford and Sheffield United. So I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. They're certainly not going to be a team who come at us. Um, but yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens. But really tough game for different reasons.
Yeah, I think so too. Perhaps we'll get on to that in a minute. So I'll move on to some club related stuff. I'd like to start off first by congratulating all of those who went on the Tiger Feet walk to the stadium on Saturday. Well done to all of you. And I'd also like to offer Dave Thomas all the very best as he recovers from a spell in hospital. Dave is the main man behind the Kick Up the R's fanzine, and I chatted with him for a while on a podcast some while back now about the fanzine and about Fulham Park Rangers and lots more. So all I can say is get well soon, Dave. Hope to see you back outside selling, and fantastic to see the people who are out there today covering for you. Sorry, today on Saturday covering for you. Um, an article before the Cardiff fixture highlighted that 11 of the first team were out of action, and all of those except Sato were out with injuries. Over the season, we've discussed the threat that long-term injuries have inflicted upon the club, George, but is the problem a lack of depth and quality in the squad, or is it really a higher than normal level of injuries, do you think?
I think it could be a mix of both. I think as QPR, we tend to get quite unlucky with injuries, and I think this season really has been one. Last year we actually didn't have that many injuries, and I thought maybe going into this season we found a formula to keep players fit, but obviously that went out the window quite early on. But I think we went into the season light in a few areas and too crowded in other areas. I think particularly in the left back and striker positions, we just didn't have enough depth, especially at left back. Actually, Powell the whole season it's been fully him. I would have, even if it was keeping Larkesh at the club as a backup option, I would have preferred that than not having a single player at all. And then the other one's a striker situation, and people might think I go on and on about this, but strikers are the players who get you goals in majority of situations. And we're now in a place where we're going into the Oxford game with Lloyd now injured, with zero recognised strikers. Sellers out injured, Frey's out injured, Colley's out injured, and now Lloyd. You go into that game thinking we're going to have to play with four tens or four attacking minded players again, and you saw how that worked against Stoke and West Brom away from home. It just really didn't. The ball keeps coming back, and it's almost endless pressure for our defence. So yeah, it's really worrying with the striker situation. But in terms of injuries, I don't know. Is it bad luck? Does it coincide with Ben Williams being less involved in the club this season? Because I know he left at the start. Well, no, he didn't fully leave. I think he's just now based in Dubai and he remotely does it. But is that the catalyst for it? Who knows? No one will, no one will ever know, and I don't even think the injury team know why. But fingers crossed next season it can be better in terms of injuries. But in terms of squad depth, I think there's been an issue for the last few seasons now, particularly up front, where there's just a couple of positions where we just go into it too light, and it really comes to bite us near the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, and I actually think it's a combination of the two as well. I think it is a lack of quality and depth in the squad, and we've had two seasons where there've been too many long-term injuries. I mean, you're always going to get players who are unlucky and they get recurrent injury or a hamstring go for it for whatever reason. But it feels to me as if we've endured far too many injuries of late that we really shouldn't have been having. And I'm wondering whether it's because the championship demands a lot more from its players, being faster, or whether the training regime lends itself to extra injuries. And I'm not convinced that it doesn't make a difference. That sounds double negative, but that Ben Williams being based in Dubai does not impact upon it. I'm pretty sure it must impact upon it in some way. Anyway, let's perhaps open that one up for discussion with everybody. Perhaps they'll all make their comments and let us know what they think. Meanwhile, your predictions, I guess, are now, George. What do you reckon for Oxford?
Yeah, as I said, I think it's going to be a tough game, and I think much like Cardiff, I don't think it's going to be the prettiest on the eye. I don't think the football played will be that great, but I think no, I'll think positively, and I've got a feeling that we might nip this one. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. I don't know how the goal's going to come because we don't seem like scoring at the moment, but I'm going for a 1-0 win.
Right. But that's amusing because I'm going for a 1-0 as well, and I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'm going to say that victory for the R's is going to come courtesy of Jimmy Dunn, a header, because that's about the only way I can ever see us scoring at the moment. Um, so that's it for another Hoops and Dreams preview podcast. All that remains is for me to thank George, as always, for his contributions, and to let you know that Dave and James will be previewing the QPR versus Bristol City match. Thanks for watching, and come on, you R's.
How many you ask?